Good afternoon and welcome to the Holy Spirit Blog Talk Radio Show. My name is Minister J.R. Hart, and I thank you all for tuning in on this wonderful Sunday edition. We normally broadcast about 6:30 every Sunday, each and every Sunday. But I have some previous engagement, therefore we are coming to you a little bit earlier than normal. But yet, for those who look for us at 6:30, of course, you can catch us on our rebroadcasting of this episode. This episode is like every episode that we've decided to do on Sundays, is really about the renewing of the mind. The renewing of the mind. We've decided to start doing shows dealing with our spirituality, our faith, but yet the renewing of the mind, because that's where it all starts, people. And so often people are not understanding and overstanding that the fact that if we don't have a renewed mind and spirit, man, we in trouble. Somehow, as people of God and a people of color, we've been so busy being educated and being politically correct that we've simply forgot the basic principles of having a life, and a life full of abundance. As God once said that He gave to us, He promised to us. And that the first step we must have is a renewed mind with a renewed spirit. And that's what I want to talk about today, because everybody, I'm looking at social media and different sites, and people are having all these professional doctors and life coaches, and we got everybody going on now. And then, but when you look at society as a whole, or as a people, we never had that stuff. We never had to have no I mean, I'm not saying you don't need one, but I'm talking about just the basic principles. I'm not talking about if you have, a depression or anything of that nature. I'm not talking about having a symptom of something. I'm talking about just basic principles of life and a favor and the promises of God. We've gotten so far away from that because we're trying to be everything that the world wants us to be. And what you have entered into, people, is a form of mind control. It's no secret why here it is in 2015, 2016, over 71% of black women households are led by single mothers. That's a mind control. And that's a sickness. Not talking about the mothers, but the fact that as a people whole, we don't see nothing wrong with that. And a little bit later, I'm going to play you this insert. It's a brief insert that was done on, I think, CBS News, dealing with the rise, mind you, in the early 80s, like 82, 81, because of the early rise of single motherhood in the black community. And I want you to listen to how those young women were talking back then, because what's so frightening is that's the mindset of a today's woman. But now she has success, and still she's saying the same thing about not needing a black man to raise her kids or to survive, and so on and so forth. And that's by design, what I'm trying to tell you. I saw this wonderful thing that Steve Harvey did, and we're going to do that show next week, dealing with why so many black women are single, part 2. I'm going to do that one next week, because I'm having some problems with my speakers, so I'm not able to play and have an intelligible signal dealing with my audio. So I'm on, and I don't want you to miss that one. So I'm gonna play that one next week. But I'm gonna give you the gist of it, because next week is gonna be a longer broadcast, because there's so much to get into, dive into. But in short, it was I think a 2-hour long rally they did, or like a town hall meeting or whatever, but it was filmed in Atlanta. but back in 2010, but it's still prevalent today in 2016. And they were talking about relationships and why so many black women are single. And they had Steve Harvey, Hill Harper, another guy named Jimmy or something. Then they had Sherry Shepherd. They had Jackie Reed on there, and I forgot the other lady from 60 Minutes. I forgot her name. My God, oh man. But anyway, wonderful sister. She was on the panel as well. And she kind of led the panel. And everybody, was talking about why, the black relationship that fails and so on and so forth, and this and that, and everybody had their own opinion or perspective. And Steve Harvey led his because at that time I think his book Think Like a Woman, Think Like a Man, Act Like a Woman was out and was doing huge, and then the movie came out behind that. But even so, Hill Harper also had a book out, but I forgot the name of his book, dealing with relationships. But what I was so amazed is they both came from a worldly point of view. I mean, they made sense to a certain degree, but nobody pulled the layers off of the whole process. It's a wonderful YouTube video, but she also has a book, Dr. Joy DeGruy, if I'm saying her name right, it's DEGRUY, Dr. Joy DeGruy. But she has a YouTube video that says, "Why do black people act the way they do?" I'm telling you, get her book. Please buy her book, and understand the process of what this is that people are missing. And the reason why we're missing is because we're not understanding our behavior. Black folks ain't understanding, the whole panel, they talked about give and take. What you can do for me, what I can do for you. That ain't love. Love is free. Love has no motive. It has no underlining, and it has no objective. Love is just love. And when you ever use the word love, people always forget about using that word love. God is in the center of it. That's the first thing they miss. Because anything you love, God created. So you got to treat that thing with love. That's your first problem. Because Hill Harper and Steve Harvey and the rest of the panel, they were coming through the flesh. And we are a cosmetic being from an eternal planet. We are the light. We are more than just our journey here, our experience here. We're more than that. But what we have done, and that's why, see, people always say, I don't like the Bible. White man wrote the Bible. Let me tell you something. First of all, half that stuff came out of Kemet anyway. And all that stuff they put in the Bible, they didn't understand their damn self. That's why you have to meditate on the word, not just read it verbatim, but you meditate on that word and God will speak through you. You got to understand this, people. But when Jesus was telling them he is from above, you're from beneath, he was already setting the tone for who you are as a people. He didn't mean like, you from you from Bankhead or the hood. Jesus was merely trying to say that I'm from a place that is so awesome that you cannot describe it. And you're from the earth. You're from here. It's a wonderful place, but it's not where I'm from. Black folks have forgotten it. They done came down here and said, "Ooh, we like this," and have gotten themselves engulfed into worldly mindset and worldly thinking. And that's why we having so much issues dealing with today's world, because we have a worldly mindset. And so that whole panel was talking from a worldly mindset. And I love what Dr. Joy was talking about when she was going back before slavery and during slavery, and especially after slavery. And she made a very astounding point of view when she said, black folks are the only people that have been through the most horrific mistreatment on the planet, and never got any help for it. No therapy, no nothing, not even a day off to even reflect on it. We came from a place where we were kings and queens. We were born with a silver spoon in our mouth. What I mean by that, Africa has all the richness of this world, riches and glory. That's what God made you and put you in. He put you in the center of riches and glory. And then hundreds of thousands of years later, this white species come on the planet, this mutant, and come and decide to start taking all your shit. And didn't ask for it. And then they decided to enslave you. But that wasn't enough, because these people were so diabolical and are so evil that they had to separate you from your family, because they saw that you were unified and you were glorified with God, and you had oneness with God, because you had a renewed mind and a renewed spirit. You were architects, you were engineers already. You was already trading along the Mediterranean, all throughout the seas, the Black Seas, 7 seas, and all that. You were already trading up and down that thing before these white folks were even on the planet. You already had created steel, mansions and houses, math. You had written over 4,000 books already before they even hit the planet. And then by them knowing that, they pulled you away from each other, separated the mothers and the fathers, belittled the fathers in front of the mothers and children, beat them, ripped them apart on horses, castrated them in front of their wives, their children, their family. All of this to break you down. And fast forward 400 years later, black women still have an issue with black men, because what slavery did, it embedded in her that I can't trust him. He ain't no good. He ain't reliable. You never got treated for that mindset, for that deception of your man. And now you got an education and masters and all types of degrees and accolades, and yet you can't even have a basic relationship with a man. Why? Why? Because you do not know where it all started from. You can talk about morals and this and that, and if he loved his mothers and all these little key things you look for, his shoes and all this foolishness that you're looking into. But you have not learned to understand why it is you think the way you do. Earlier, I saw a video on Facebook with this sister. Well, it was a brief video. But basically, it was showing how black women act around white men when they're dating white men. And I have several of my black sisters, friends of mine, who date white men. And it was so astounding, because I never really realized it until I saw this thing firsthand. I thought about it, and I said, wow, they do act that way. But the point is, the brother had it was a sister who put the video together. She had a whole list of things of how black women are submissive. Not the title was how black women are submissive to white men. And it was amazing how the black women, they talk softer. They kind of like acted more dainty, more dingy. They were more affectionate. They would allow him to take the lead, even when he didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Never called them out, or any of those things. but very submissive were these black women. On the other hand, with the black men were called gay, bitch, nigger, bitch ass, always yelling, always complaining. One brother, he got in the car, and as soon as he got in the car, she screaming and yelling about why he ain't come out on the other door, and you mother, all these names. She just going ham on him. Instance after instance, you saw when the black woman with the white man, and of course they have arguments. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's a different mindset. And what my point is, you've been trained to think that way. Again, you're under mind control. You have no clue. You just think that, but now black men get on my, no, it ain't black men get on your nerve. You've been taught to hate your own race, especially the opposite race. You've been trained that. You've been taught by your grandmother, your great grandmother. It has been handed down to not depend on this man. Even in the 60s, when you were talking about trying to get government assistance, the man had to be out of the household. So then the government helped you have an animosity towards him for being around you. And fast forward now, these girls, that's why they're having babies, and all they want was a dope boy because he got cash money. Come over there, trick them out, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and be gone before the kids get up. And what I'm saying is, you have no God in you if you are living that life. You could be going to church every Sunday and not knowing you're still under a slave mentality mindset of divide and conquer. Because the whole premises of slavery and enslaving of people and destroying of people, because they wanted to destroy us because of our melanin and how we can, our race, our gene is the dominant race, that you are supporting them in this massacre by keeping yourself divided and not procreating and doing the things of God. And what is that? He said to subdue the earth and multiply. And yet Planned Parenthood, my God, since the 80s, we've had 15 million abortions in the urban community. 15 million people dead. And just how many millions they would have had. We would have been a dominant race by now had it not been for Planned Parenthood. The dominant, you're talking nearly 100 million. Got to be. Because if they say we're around 40 million now, or whatever the case may be, 38, 40 million, and we killed 14, that's 55. You multiply another 2 or 3, you roughly around 80 plus million. So half our population, a little bit more than half the population of us have been wiped out. Completely gone. Completely gone. And that is abomination. And this ain't, and down with pro-life. I'm not talking nothing about that crap. Again, that's another game man plays. Because man loves to divide and conquer. On all levels, that is the whole concept of this world. That's how the global elite stay in power. Because if you busy down here fighting one another, I'm busy stealing your money and your spoils. And black folks, you know better. You know we know better. All through the Bible, it talks about having a renewed mind. Your mind being renewed every day. All in Corinthians. Proverbs. Renewing the mind, renewing the spirit. And how do you do that? You got to go back and understand where this thing started. But what's the problem? Black folks done got so modernized and so worldly that, oh, that was back then. That's the young people today. Everything is funny. It was back then. But they have no clue why they act the way they do. Why they walk around at work and singing songs and yeah that bitch, that hoe, yeah that bitch, feeding the spirit. And turn around, start dating somebody, and as soon as she do something you don't like, what the first thing out of his mouth? Bitch and hoe. It's been feeding the spirit. That's all he knows. So when he sees a black woman, he sees a bitch in a hole. Could be the greatest thing that ever happened to him. But again, he's bought into the tradition, the evil tradition, what we've been passing down from generation to generation. But this started. It didn't start because in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, this shit was nowhere around. Nowhere around. And that's why they meaning the government, they spent so much time, money, and effort killing the Black Panthers, killing Dr. King, Malcolm X, all these things that kept you with a renewed mind and spirit of power and authority, but with love. Because God was always the center of everything we did. They gave you a free world. And what I mean by that, they gave you all the drugs you wanted. Crack. They put crack and guns in the communities for free. And I don't think anybody black knows that. When that drug first came out, it was created, of course, it's a chemical. The Reagan area. In Compton, California, and all through California, New York City, these kids woke up in the middle of the morning with the train tracks, and they walked over to a train track, and and this is a true story. And I think it was 1982, 84, whatever it was, but it was a train full of guns with ammunitions, just sitting there, like a freaking candy store. Then also, crack came in. The government created Rick Ross to destroy the black community out there in California. Same thing in New York, then Chicago, and elsewhere. And all these guys, and mind you, we had gangs back then, but these gangs, shortly after the Black Panthers, was about protecting the black community, policing the black community, feeding the black community. But when the money, the drugs came in, and then the addictions, then you got prostitution, you got everything else, it took you out of the will of God completely. And then the rap came on, hip hop came on. And the rest is history. What I'm saying to you is, we got to get back to where we were in the beginning. If all you and for all you people who laugh and say that was then, I ain't talking to you. You're gonna just die off. I don't care. You're 19. That's what happened in the wilderness. People wanted what they wanted. They wanted the world. So God let them walk around till they died off. So that's what's gonna happen to you. You have an assignment on this planet while you're here. It ain't to get married, find a husband, get married, have a dog and a cat, and be idolized by your friends and envious of your friends. That's the game the world plays with you. You have an assignment to fulfill while on this planet. And while you're here, you might want to get back with God and have a renewed mind and spirit to get your assignment back again, because you've lost it. You done got so worldly now. I'm gonna take this quick break, and when I come back, I want to play this thing from this video dealing with these sisters in the 80s, man. And it is a sad thing to hear, but I'm gonna take this break, and I'll be back in just a moment.
90 seconds. Seconds. Seconds.
I want to go ahead and bring that to you because that was filmed back in 1981, and it was talking about single black mothers and the fact that these young women, when they talk to them, like the one girl said that a black man in the household um, is not even warranted because she didn't have a father and she had never seen a man in the household. So this to her was the norm for her to have a baby and her to be stuck with raising the baby. And they were comfortable in this. But again, you have to ask yourselves, why did some of this happen? Now, I'll tell you about why some of it happened is because of the unemployment, but also, again, leading up to the, if you wanted to get any type of assistance, say the mother was at a low-paying job and the father couldn't find a job, then what had to happen is he had to leave the home in order for them to obtain any type of welfare. So again, what I'm saying is you're caught up in a mind control, a system that has simply destroyed the black family. But hold on. You got to understand that there's something you can do as well as a people. Because when they started allowing all these Asians, Arabs, and Hispanics to come in, well, they're not, well, they call themselves Hispanic, but when they allowed other ethnicity group to come in and set up shop in our communities, that took those black dogs out of those communities. And see, black folk for centuries, they would make food. People with black folk are the most innovative people you'll ever meet on this planet. And what we did was we got away from those types of things. We got away from making things with our hands and selling them. From street to street, block to block, we created our own businesses, and no longer did we do that. And those are the things that kept us unified and as a family. As he was saying, the values had gone. Once we were looked upon as the most religious, but yet the most family-oriented people on the planet. We were the model of today's society of how to be because we were the first. So you were the model. And what a shame it is, that same time in the 80s, when Bill Cosby had his show running, you had the majority of black people said that's not real. That's not how black folk live. Not understanding that their ancestors lived that way. Because guess what? They were doctors. They were scientists. Yes, they did. they created all. We as a people created 60-something percent, 65% of what's being used on the planet. Black folk created. So you were wrong. But by creating these ghettos and these dilapidated buildings, these rundown buildings, and giving the kids drugs and all kinds and guns, you just distracted them. And that's why I'm doing these shows about, you got to understand that you got to change the way you think, but you got to understand where you came from, because you're going to need the strength of your ancestors. You need to call upon your ancestors and God to turn this thing around. You're not going to do it with all these life coaches and all. That's beautiful, and I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not knocking anybody. But why do you think so many people visit 3, 4, 5 psychiatrists and none of them help? Because they don't get to the root of the problem. We have been systematically devalued, destroyed, demoralized, mentally and spiritually. We're here, no question about that, only through the grace of God and His mercies. But we're not doing the things of God because we've allowed them to take the most important thing, and that is our mind. And we got to change the way we think. Black men got to drop all that foolishness dealing with the rap songs and all that, and not knowing that these rhythms feed your spirit. The drums in Africa rose the dead, healed people. Black folk don't understand the importance of rhythm and music, and how music was used as a healer. Now it's used to degrade and destroy people. The Europeans know what it's used for. That's why they pay top dollar for these brothers to degrade their woman. They know. They know that we don't want you to speak like Carmen or Lupe Fiasco, or even Tupac back in the day. We got to kill that. We need more 2 Chainz and Nelly, Tip Drill, and I'm different. All those songs that feed your spirit. You ride down the road and they got that 2-year-old baby or that newborn baby in the backseat, feeding him or her spirit at the same time. That's a generational curse. Because if you're the God-minded people, you wouldn't fool with that foolishness. You couldn't bear to have negativity in your spirit and all this. Oh, I don't listen to the lyrics. I listen to the beat. It's feeding your spirit, idiot. Either way, your subconscious is listening to it. So that's why you walk around, instead of saying yourself is a queen, what you say? I'm a bad bitch. Bitch is a dog. So you're a bad dog now. You done gone from a queen from Africa, from when God created you, to a bad bitch. And you don't think something's wrong with you psychologically? all because you have a master's degree and you have a practice somewhere, or you're a partner at a major law firm, and you still ain't happy. Why do you think they get you Bill, Mary Jane, and all them? They're laughing at you. They're showing you, even though Gabrielle Union is executive producer, it's them white boys that put that show on to show you, no matter how high y'all get, you still gonna be unhappy with yourselves as a people. She can't get along with her family. She damn sure can't get along with black men. She only use black men for sex. She gonna have next when it comes in the next series, she gonna have to go lesbo. She's done the black man, the white man. She got to go gay now. But it's feeding your spirit again, the subconsciousness of it, and what it's saying is it's okay. And you looking at her like she's a great actress. She's lost too, man. Just because she on that screen, that means she's brilliant. No, she's lost too. Because look at the message they're portraying to young black people, especially young black women. To just hoe around, to just keep hoeing and keep screwing until you find somebody. Like somebody really gonna want you after you done gone from man to woman, to dog to cat. Get your house in order. Through a renewed mind, body, and spirit. I didn't even talk about the body and food, but I will on the next episode. But I want to bring this to you, man, because it's so prevalent that we must have a renewed mind and a renewed spirit. Through the love of God, we can achieve all things. As the word says, all things in Christ. You are stronger. I'm just paraphrasing. But you are strengthened in everything that he does. And everything that he gives you is possible. Nothing is impossible without God. And you must understand that. You must understand that. Listen, my time is up. I want to just again bring this to you in short. And I thank you guys for tuning in. And as we always say in parting, to love yourselves and to know yourselves. And to know yourselves comes by spending time with God. We love you. Thank you and God bless.